Welcome to this video where we will be going over the many lies of Carrie Madej, in particular the lies that she has told in regards to the case of my grandfather, Stefan Suto. For those who are unfamiliar with the case, I highly recommend you go ahead and watch some of the previous videos on this channel. But to put it to you nice and shortly here, Carrie Madej killed my grandfather, Stefan Suto. It was a total of 3 physicians who killed my grandfather. 2 Florida physicians also had their parts in killing my grandfather, but this video will focus on the actions of Carrie Madej. Now, with that being said, I don't want to spend too much time going through all of the facts and details in the case. Once again, I would highly recommend you watch some of my previous videos. But basically what happened is Carrie Madej administered 21 milliliters of IV hydrogen peroxide in 500 milliliters of dextrose to my grandfather in December of 2021. She also administered a nebulizer to him with 2 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide to 0.5 milliliters of water. She also gave the intravenous, the IV, the 21 milliliters peroxide to my stepfather and my mother as well, which is why they are also listed here in the lawsuit. Because, as you can see, in the 9th Judicial District for the state of Tennessee, the estate of my grandfather, Stefan Suto, my mother, Yana Satova, and my stepfather, Stephen Benoon, they sued Carrie Madej for what she did. Now, I will link this lawsuit, the full lawsuit, in the description of this video. What ended up happening is it was ruled in our family's favor by default judgment. More on that in a little bit here. And you can see here that the judge, Michael Pemberton, awarded the estate of my grandfather $181,000 in compensatory damages and $1 million in punitive damages. For those who are unfamiliar with what punitive damages are it's basically designed to punish the defendant in a civil case for their actions. They are only awarded if the court finds that the actions of the defendant were so reckless and just so intentional that it basically gives rise to punitive damages. They must be punished for their actions. And as you can see, in this case, the judge awarded the estate of my grandfather $1 million in punitive damages. My mother, Yana Satova, she's listed as Yana Benoon here, is to receive $100,000 in compensatory damages and $50,000 in punitive damages. That is what was awarded to her in the lawsuit. Now, the reason that the lawsuit was won by default judgment is quite literally because Carrie Madej refused to respond to it. She was given plenty of time to respond to the lawsuit against her, and she decided instead to join the sovereign citizen movement. What you see in front of you on your screen here is the letter that Carrie Madej wrote to my family's attorney. And it pretty much is basically just sovereign citizen nonsense. If you guys don't know what a sovereign citizen is, just Google it. In short, it's basically crazed wackos who think that they're above the law. These are people who say that the law of the United States has no jurisdiction over them, all kinds of crazy, nonsensical stuff like that. And this is who Carrie Madej is aligning herself with. She joined that movement. This letter will be in the description of this video as well, so everybody can go ahead and see it. And aside from the lawsuit that was filed against Carrie Madej, I want to bring everyone's attention to this. What is this, you may be asking? This is the autopsy report of my grandfather. My grandfather was forensically examined. His body was exhumed and forensically examined by a pathologist named Dr. Daniel Schultz out of Tampa, Florida. He's done over 7,000 autopsies. He has over 30 years of experience, and he basically looked at the swath of evidence in this case, aside from just, of course, personally examining the body of my grandfather. And this was the conclusion that he came to. Cause of death, hemolytic anemia with multi-organ damage. That is him telling you the exact cause of death. culminating with terminal morphine administrations. And in other words, that's what happened. That's what it all culminated with. So this hemolytic anemia with multi-organ damage was due to the toxicities of inhaled hydrogen peroxide combined with intravenous hydrogen peroxide and intravenous ozone gas administration. Contributory complications of out-of-hospital person-to-person whole blood administration without type and cross-matching. This is a topic for another video that I will address in a future video. And then manner, homicide. 3 doctors, and I am telling you that one of those doctors is Carrie Madej, and then the other 2 Florida physicians administered dangerous chemical agents and after serious reactions denied potentially life-saving reputable medical care in favor of subversive care, culminating with terminal opioid administration, finally followed by non-reporting of the death to medical examiner or police and subsequent suboptimal embalming and burial. What I'm trying to convey here is that none of this is a joke. This is all very serious. And this is what Carrie Madej did. She killed my grandfather. Aside from just ignoring the civil lawsuit against her, Carrie Madej also decided to voluntarily surrender her medical license. This is public documentation. Anyone can find it. I'll link it in the description. And let's just sort of... The reason that Carrie Madej said that she surrendered her medical license was because she suddenly got this epiphany that she did not want to be under any kind of licensing board. Here is a you know what? Let's go to a video of her where she is on a podcast claiming, sort of elaborating on the reason.
The medical board, I put them on notice. I told them how they were violating God's law. They were violating our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and that they could not take away my ability to help heal people because it's my God-given right, and I will continue to do that in the example of Yeshua, Jesus Christ, the apostles, and the prophets.
So, first of all, it's very disturbing that Carrie Madej seems to want to, continue practicing medicine without a license. I find that to be very disturbing. I think everybody should find that very disturbing because that is what she seems to be implying here. But basically, the reason that she got rid of her medical license, in her words, is that she does not want to be a part of these ruled by these licensing agencies, blah, 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 whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, ask yourself, what is more plausible here? Did Carrie Madej fight to get this medical license and maintain it for her entire career, as every doctor does, right? And renewed it, I believe it's every 2 years, I could be mistaken, but they renew their licenses pretty frequently. It is not a joke if you're a physician to just suddenly give up your medical license, right? And then, of course, I can personally say that 2 months or so, or 3, before she did what she did to my grandfather, she was telling our family, saying that she had just renewed her medical license and how important her medical license was to her, right? And of course, that would make sense. Doctors want to renew their medical licenses. That's what gives them credibility and legitimacy as a physician. So what's more likely? She just suddenly decides, she has this epiphany out of nowhere that she wants to become a sovereign citizen and that she doesn't want to be under these licensing boards anymore? Or is it more plausible that in November 2022, Carrie Madej was served the lawsuit against her for her actions for killing my grandfather, and we also did report her to the Georgia Medical Board at the time, who did tell us that they were investigating the matter very seriously, and she decides to quickly voluntarily surrender her license as the pressure built up on her, so that way there's no public record of her doing what she did. So that way there's no public findings against her from the Georgia Medical Board. Ask yourself, what's the more likely thing here? I think the answer is very obvious. A question that many people ask is, why did Carrie Madej do this? And that's a very good question. But I do want to ask this question as well, because I think that this interview here, or I shouldn't say it's an interview, it's more of like a show. It's called, I believe it's the 5 Docs podcast or show, or whatever you want to call it, which is Sherry Tenpenny, Christiane Northrup, 2 others, and Madej. And in this particular episode, which is archived here, it is Christiane Northrup and Carrie Madej. And I think it sort of helps give a little bit of an answer to the question as to why she did what she did. Take a listen here. I'm going to play this clip for you to Madej's words.
I've recently been doing hydrogen peroxide IVs, and it's been working extremely well in people, which that's a great thing because that's very inexpensive and it's not hard to do. I use the 3% food grade hydrogen peroxide and 5 to 6 mils or cc's and 500 mils or cc's of normal saline.
So Carrie Madej is admitting here on an interview or show or whatever in September 2021. She is saying that she is giving patients intravenous hydrogen peroxide at 5 to 6 milliliters. Ladies and gentlemen, why, which by the way, that is absolutely insane in and of itself, but why did she 3 months later come to the family home and give my grandfather, my mother, and my stepfather as well, why did she give them 21 milliliters of hydrogen peroxide? Why did she do that? Carrie Madej's response to all of this has been to lie to her audience, to lie to everybody she speaks to on this, to gaslight her audience. I'm going to just play here some clips of some shows that she's been on this year. This one is with this guy named Chris Smith from the Atlantic Underground podcast or whatever. And just take a listen to Carrie Madej's words here.
And also rumors that I hurt somebody, and they're all fabricated. I did not do any of those.
Is this Steven Suto?
Yes, that is false. Yeah. I did not give that man what they said they did. There is no case against me. They filed papers, but there is no case against me. I don't have anyone representing me. There's no settlement. I don't have signatures on any of those papers. And I've had to pray about what to do. And the answer was just do nothing.
So there's many things to unpack with what she said. Carrie Madej claims that there's no case against her, right? And she repeats this and elaborates more in another interview. And I will just let the audience listen to her on this interview, and then I will address the claims all at once. So take a listen. This is Carrie Madej on some podcast with a reverend named Casper McLeod. Take a listen to what Carrie Madej has to say.
There were false allegations against me, and then finally someone put out a statement saying that I had a court judgment against me that was final. Well, first of all, I've never been in a courtroom. I've never given a statement. I've never signed any of those papers, and no one represents me. So I don't see how this could be legal or lawful or binding.
Well, unfortunately for Carrie Madej, all of this is legal and lawful, and her sovereign citizen stuff does not matter in this case. First, it seems that Madej's defense essentially is to say that there is no court case against her. And it is just extraordinary how she is gaslighting everybody when she says this, because obviously here is the court case. It's right in front of you on your screen here, the estate of Stefan Suto versus Carrie Madej. Anybody can call the Morgan County, Tennessee Circuit Court Monday through Friday and just simply ask them, hey, does the case of Stefan Suto versus Carrie Madej, case number 2023 CV7 exist? The answer is going to be yes. Anybody can do that. Carrie Madej is gaslighting her audience here. And then I wrote this post on Twitter directly, and by the way, shout out to my Twitter, directly refuting and debunking Carrie Madej's claims. She claims that she's never been in a courtroom. This does not matter. She ignored the case against her. She was served the lawsuit. She was given plenty of opportunity to respond to it, and she never showed, and that is the reason that she lost by default. She says she's never given a statement. Arguably, she did with this nonsensical sovereign citizen letter. This is essentially her statement. So that's that. She says that she's never signed the court papers. Ladies and gentlemen, civil lawsuits don't need the signature of the defendant to proceed. If that was the case, nobody could ever sue anybody in America. That is just absolutely absurd. And then she says nobody represents her. That is completely irrelevant. She could represent herself, or she could hire an attorney. She chose not to do that. She was given more than enough time to respond. This is entirely on her, and it does not disprove a single thing. As you can see, the only response that Carrie Madej has is to dance around the topic like a fart in the water. And that is because Carrie Madej is a pathological liar. Here is an article from Natural News by Mike Adams, where Carrie Madej was caught lying about her plane crash. This is a very good article. I highly recommend a full read through of it. It basically details how Carrie Madej lied about her plane crash. She falsely said that 911 operators in that case asked for her COVID status and for her insurance and all Social Security and all this other stuff. All of this was completely debunked by 911 call records that are also publicly available. So I highly recommend a read of this article because it shows how confidently and how with a straight face Carrie Madej is capable of lying to somebody. Here she is lying to her colleagues, Sherry Tenpenny, Christiane Northrup, Palevsky, and Lee Merritt. Just take a look at this, right?
And called 911. We talked to the dispatch. Of course, they wanted to know our COVID status.
Oh, come on.
God.
Oh,
You
yes,
been in a plane crash.
Yes,
Oh, my God.
I did say some cuss words.
I'll bet.
And then also they wanted to know the health insurance card. They
What?
want to know social security number. Oh no, I hope this is on recording because I want to hear it. Oh yes, they did. She wasn't going to go forward. So I finally had to get angry and
Well, Carrie Madej, it was all on recording. The entire 911 call logs are all on recording, fortunately for you. And unfortunately for you, they entirely disprove your lies. And anybody can go read that Natural News article. I highly recommend it. I believe he published a full transcript of those 911 calls that anybody can get for themselves from Meriwether County, Georgia's public records department. Their emergency services has the public records department, I believe. So there you go. I just want to conclude with this, and that is, where is Sherry Tenpenny? Where is Christiane Northrup? And where is all the rest of these 5 docs groups? Where are they? They have remained completely silent on this matter. Sherry Tenpenny is very well aware of what Carrie Madej did to my grandfather, and her silence it's telling. It's telling to me because Sherry Tenpenny continues to associate with Carrie Madej. She continues to say absolutely nothing about it and do nothing whatsoever to distance herself from this insane, crazy psycho who is capable of completely lying and spitting in her face. It's really embarrassing, if anything, in my opinion, on Sherry Tenpenny's part. It's just so bizarre to me how Sherry Tenpenny and all these other doctors sit there and they claim to be these doctors for humanity and for people, and that they care so much about patients and that they care so much about telling the truth. Yet when Dr. Madej at the time literally killed my grandfather and poisoned him, all we have is crickets from Sherry Tenpenny on the issue, and she continues to just associate with Carrie Madej as though nothing happened. It seems to me that Sherry Tenpenny is saying that she thinks life matters, except Stefan Suto's life didn't matter to her. My grandfather's life doesn't matter to her. That's really what it seems like Sherry Tenpenny is saying with her silence here. So shame on Sherry Tenpenny, shame on Christiane Northrup and the rest of these 5 docs for continuing to associate with Carrie Madej. It is absolutely disgraceful that anybody could associate with this lady, knowing what she has done and what she is capable of doing. Stay tuned for more videos. I will try to post more often here in the future. I have another video coming up in the works. That is an important one. And of course, follow my Twitter at Ethan Suto. I make posts when I can about the entire case of my grandfather because, of course, it's so much deeper than just what Carrie Madej did. There's those 2 other Florida physicians and their involvement in killing my grandfather. And that is something that I definitely want to speak about in the very soon future, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. I'm Ethan Suto.